May we please settle down? We are about to begin. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do that again. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. That's more like it. That's more like it. And warmest welcome to the home of FNB Eswatini, or should I say, warmest welcome to the beautiful home of FNB Eswatini. My name is TK Dlamini. I'm the Chief Operations Officer for FNB Eswatini, and together with my co-MC, or the co-host, we will be directing the program for this morning. And today we are really happy to have all of you here as we present our 2024-2025 annual results. And this for us is a moment where we look back, we reflect, and we celebrate the performance of the past financial year. And not just that, but we also look to the future and share insights of how and what we are doing as FNB to position ourselves for future growth. So this morning is not just about the past, but it's also about the future, giving you a sneak preview into what FNB Eswatini is going to look like. I'm going to just allow my co-MC to introduce himself.
Thank you, T. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ngomane. I look after retail here at FNB. Perhaps before we proceed with the formalities, just to formally welcome our stakeholders. We recognize our regulators who are here today. We also want to recognize our shareholders who have graced us for this event. Thank you for making the time. Our board of directors that are here today, our executive team, media stakeholders and partners, and the rest of the FNB family. Thank you, colleagues, for coming over today. Maybe T, before we proceed any further, if maybe we can just take care of some few housekeeping issues, then we'll be ready to proceed with the program.
Thank you, Mnezi. We are a regulated entity, and as mentioned by him, we do have regulators in the house. So as a regulated entity, we do have rules that we are going to abide by this morning. Maybe the first one is to just kindly request that we all keep our phones on silent, if that is okay with all of us, and that is for one simple reason, to allow all of us to be able to concentrate and follow the proceedings for this morning. So if you are able to, please do keep your phone on silent throughout the event this morning. So that's the first one. And then secondly, we are going to request that should you have a need to refresh yourself during the event, please go through the main door to my left. And depending on where you are sitting, it will be to your right. Go through the main door and then take the first left all the way down to the passage. You should be able to find rooms there to refresh yourself. But should you need any other assistance, I am seeing my ladies wearing all black with the FNB scarves. They are more than happy to assist you with any other requirement that you may have during the course of the morning. So please do feel free to reach out to them during the course of the morning should you need anything. I will allow Mnezi to take us forward with the program.
Okay, so to the guys and customers, stakeholders, fans online, we also welcome you. Thank you for joining us. I understand there are also people who are taking this on Teams. Welcome, colleagues. So we'll be getting straight into the formal part of the program. Just as an alert, at the end of the proceedings, we will be giving away a few gifts, but only to people who will get to answer some of the questions that we'll get to ask at the end. The idea is to try and make sure that you pay attention. So please listen attentively, because you never know, you might get yourself a gift at the end. With that, I would like to welcome our CEO. We call him TK. Mr. CEO, please come up on stage to probably take us through the formal part of the program. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's welcome TK.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's so wonderful to see you. And I will ride on the protocol that my colleagues have observed. And I just wanted to start by saying fully, one of our colleagues, when introducing himself, he just says, I'm Mnetsi Ngomane. He's actually now Dr. Mnetsi Ngomane. He graduated last week, so we are very excited as the team on that. So ladies and gentlemen, let me just start. Is this working properly? I will talk about technology, and already we are on that issue. Is this working? Is it? It's not. I'll ask that. Huh? Okay. Now we'll go manual. So yeah. So I think, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and so good to have you here. I think you may recall that last year at this time, our former CEO, Dennis Imbingo, introduced me as the incoming CEO. I must say it was much easier sitting down there on the couches and observing Umsutfu together with our CFO in their element. And it seems like yesterday, but it's actually a year ago. And now I have the opportunity to present alongside Njabulo, our CFO. So thank you so much for honoring our invite. We do not take this lightly. To start off with, I'll be taking you through the first part of today's presentation. My role will be to lay the foundation for our discussion by outlining the current operating environment and highlighting our key business achievements. Following this, our CFO, Mr. Njabulo Dlamini, will guide us through a detailed review of our financial performance for the year ended June 2025. He will provide some insights into the results achieved and the key factors that have influenced this performance. I'll then come in at the end to just anchor the direction of our future growth. If we'd go to the next slide, please. So before I get into it, I just want to acknowledge that leadership continues to steer this ship very strongly. I'd like to just take a quote from Stephen Covey, which is one of my favorite quotes when it comes to leadership management within companies. And it says, management is efficiency in climbing the ladder of success. Leadership, on the other hand, determines whether the ladder is leaning against the right wall. So it's important that we have, as a company, an effective board as leadership, which ensures that we are leaning on the right wall, and then management and staff will then come in and make sure that we climb that wall efficiently. So if we go to the next slide, FNB Eswatini is governed by a distinguished and diverse board of directors whose collective expertise spans multiple industries and disciplines. Their depth of knowledge, strategic oversight, and commitment to sound governance underpins FNB Eswatini's ability to deliver sustainable value to stakeholders while navigating an evolving business environment. I just want to take this opportunity to highlight the appointment of Ms. Elizabeth Arden, who has been appointed as chairperson designate of the board of directors and steps into the chairperson role after our upcoming AGM in October 2025. Congratulations, Tarek. As a seasoned chartered accountant, Ms. Arden brings to the role over 30 years of experience within the banking and agricultural sectors in the kingdom, effectively becoming the first woman to hold the role in the bank's 30-year history in Eswatini. All firsts. Ms. Arden will be taking over the reins from our outgoing chairperson, Mr. Joseph Njangamandla, who will retire following the conclusion of the AGM. Mr. Njangamandla served the bank with dedication and professionalism for 9 years, providing exemplary leadership and unwavering commitment to sound corporate governance and strategic oversight. I think one of the key points on my side is that he was very instrumental in making sure that I land properly in this role, taking over from Mr. Mbingo. So we are grateful for his contribution to the growth and resilience of FNB Eswatini. Moving over to the execs, the next slide. When it comes to our executive team, it is truly my privilege to lead such a group of accomplished and experienced individuals. Since stepping into this position 9 months ago, I've been fortunate to work alongside a strong, dedicated team, committed to driving the continued success of FNB Eswatini. A few changes have been made since our last annual financial report presentation. We have welcomed Veronica Njalinjali, seated in front here, as our new Chief People Officer, who has been entrusted with leading our human capital strategy and ensuring we continue to attract, develop, and retain the right talent for the business. We are also delighted to introduce our Chief Marketing Officer, Njabulo Dlamini, whose portfolio truly requires no introduction. As her valued contributions can be heard, seen, and felt across the business, and by yourselves sitting here today. Lastly, we are proud to announce the appointment of one of our MCs, TK Dlamini, as our new Chief Operating Officer. Having previously served as Executive Head of Credit, she now takes on this important role and notably becomes, as well, the first woman in FNB Eswatini's 30-year history to hold this position. This brings our executive management team to a balanced 50-50 gender split, as you may see, an achievement that is in itself truly commendable. Our executive head of credit position remains vacant, and the recruitment process is underway to fill that position. It will be interesting to see the way this hire will tip the scales. I'm rooting for the ladies, though. If we go to the next slide. So before I dive into the numbers, let's set the scene by looking at the global, regional, and local factors that shape our operating environment. If you go to the next slide, if we start off from a political perspective, from a global perspective, geopolitical tensions involving the US and countries such as Russia, China, and South Africa, our neighbors, as well as the ongoing conflicts in the Middle East and Russia and Ukraine, are expected to persist. However, there is confidence that Eswatini will continue to benefit from the regional and local political stability. Additionally, the US protectionist policies continue to disrupt global trade, as we may be aware. From a regional perspective, with South Africa facing about a 30% tariff on key exports to the US, Eswatini remains vulnerable due to our deep economic ties with South Africa. And this accounts for over 70% of imports and about 60% of exports. So even though Eswatini itself is exposed to a lower tariff of about 10%, this interdependence still impacts us and is reinforced by shared currency peg and the membership within the CMA area, which amplifies that ripple effect of the trade shocks imposed on South Africa. And we've started seeing the discussions even locally on the industries that are impacted because of this. From a social perspective, youth unemployment in Eswatini remains high, estimated at about 58.2% if you look at the ENYC report of 2024, and is among the youth aged between 15 and 25. This indicates a challenge in youth labor market integration. We have also seen extensive reporting on the growing pressures facing our healthcare sector, an area that continues to warrant close attention. In terms of economic reforms, if we start off with corporate tax reform, the Eswatini Revenue Services has reduced the corporate tax rate from 27.5% to 25%, effective 1 July 2024, a strategic move aimed at stimulating business investment and encouraging economic growth. If we look at increased competition in the banking sector, on the other hand, Eswatini is experiencing an increase in competition in the financial services sector with the entry of new banks. We've seen Swaziland Building Society now converting or in the process of converting to a full-on commercial bank. And we've also seen the introduction of Letseko Eswatini Bank, who have a provisional license currently. So banks will need to differentiate themselves, providing value-added services and tailored solutions to retain and grow their customer base. Together, these developments signal a more dynamic business environment in Eswatini, one that encourages investment, innovation, and enhanced customer choice. From a sustainability perspective, the global economy is experiencing increasing pressure from climate-related risks, from extreme weather events to resource scarcity. Businesses and investors are recognizing that sustainability is no longer optional, and that it is a critical matter for long-term resilience. At FNB Eswatini, it is essential that we embrace sustainable strategies, aligning our investments and operations with a low-carbon resilient economy while ensuring the safeguarding of returns. The shift is not only about risk mitigation, but also about unlocking growth opportunities in renewable energy, green infrastructure, and sustainable finance. From a technology perspective, we have seen the rollout of local and regional Pan-African payment systems, with Eswatini officially going live on the Eswatini payment systems in December 2024. So that's our national payment switch. We are proud to note that FNB Eswatini has been live on the Eswatini payment switch since June 2025, a milestone I will expand on later in this presentation. At the same time, cybersecurity threats continue to persist globally. Locally, we are all too familiar with the Fatata scams that have impacted eMaswati over the past few months. We acknowledge the ongoing efforts to both the market and law enforcement agencies to address this challenge. Importantly, at FNB, we remain committed to strengthening our cybersecurity frameworks, enhancing client awareness, and building digital trust to ensure our customers continue to transact with confidence. I just want to expand a bit more on what we at FNB are doing in response to this increase in scams and other fraud-related threats in Eswatini. If we talk about awareness campaigns, in response to the growing need for awareness, we have extended our efforts beyond the collaborative work with the Bankers Association. We have successfully launched radio campaigns continued to share information across social media platforms, and will soon publish articles in local newspapers on a regular basis to ensure consistent messaging. Our goal is to partner with all media houses to ensure maximum reach and impact to Eswatini. From a card perspective, previously card investigations were outsourced to our parent company in South Africa, which is First Rand Group. However, with the rise in all these fraud cases, we undertook a review of our fraud model, and as a result, we have trained our local team to conduct card investigations internally. This shift has significantly improved turnaround times for investigations and resolutions. Talking about fraud response and customer support, we understand the stress and disruption caused by fraud. To better support our customers, we have established a dedicated fraud response team within our customer service unit. We have established a dedicated, we are now offering 24-hour fraud support for immediate reporting, and our FNB app empowers customers to temporarily block their cards if they suspect fraudulent activity. We will continue to emphasize block first, then call the bank for further assistance. For that area of collaborating with law enforcement agencies within the country, we maintain strong partnerships with the police and the Bankers Association through the Fraud Liaison Forum, where we actively share trends and solutions across the industry. Our proactive approach includes reporting new fraud patterns to law enforcement as soon as they emerge. For example, a recent deep dive into customer queries revealed a new scam, which we escalated to the police, enabling them to act swiftly and apprehend the perpetrators. In fraud monitoring and detection, the bank is enhancing its fraud monitoring models to better detect unusual account activity. This will allow us to act with greater speed and precision in safeguarding our customers. And lastly, from a customer responsibility perspective, while we remain vigilant, customers also play a vital role in protecting themselves. We encourage them to stay alert, use the tools that we provide, and report suspicious activity immediately. Our customers can contact our fraud support team on our toll-free number, and the bank stands ready to help at all times. If we go to the next slide on economic outlook, the outlook of Eswatini's economy remains constructive. While there's significant public sector investment in capital projects, prudence is required in management of the fiscus. Private sector involvement in construction, renewable energy generation, and mining is also supportive of economic growth. But the global and regional uncertainties introduced by that new US aid, tariff, and trade policies pose notable risks. Locally, the impact of the foot and mouth disease is also posing a risk, especially in our agricultural sector, and we remain concerned as a business. If we go to the next slide. From a business highlights perspective, it has been mentioned that we are celebrating 30 years at FNB Eswatini. And it's therefore opportune that we just take a look back. 30 years on, our journey in Eswatini is defined by milestones that have shaped who we are today. Next slide, please. Starting in this is not to brag, this is just stating what happened. So starting in 1995, we became the first to introduce our FNB Speed Point, revolutionizing the way Eswatini businesses transacted, simultaneously providing their customers the quickest payment option available at the time. Now, did you know that FNB invented the term Speed Point for its point-of-sale devices and that it is trademarked exclusively for us. So over the years, this innovation became so embedded in the market that essentially we have become the Colgate of point-of-sale devices. A testament to the lasting impact of this introduction. In the 2000s, we continued to look for more innovative ways to make banking convenient for our customers. We were the first to introduce an online banking platform, FNB Online Banking, in 2003, which later inspired the creation of FNB Cell Phone Banking in 2005, which further enables another defining moment in our history when we were first to market with FNB's e-wallet, a product that started with just 1,954 monthly transactions and has since grown to over 363,000 monthly transactions in 2024. Truly another Colgate moment. On this journey, with the term of e-wallet now being used loosely to describe sending of funds to any digital wallet as sent on e-wallet. Now, as our journey continued, we pioneered services such as FNB Pay to Sell, further expanding convenience for our clients. Most recently, we demonstrated leadership in branch operations. In 2017, we were the first to introduce FNB's ADT, or automated deposit terminals, simplifying how our customers deposited cash. Building on that, we once again broke new ground in 2023 by being first to introduce coin depositor machines, revolutionizing how small businesses manage their day-to-day cash operations. I may have left out a few milestones along the way, but each of these highlights reflects more than just products. They reflect our enduring commitment to innovation, inclusion, and growth. What we have built over 3 decades is more than a track record. It is a legacy of firsts, a legacy of innovation, a legacy of putting customers first, a legacy of help that works for eMaSwati. And this legacy will continue for the next 30 years. If we move to the next slide. In the financial year 2025, we have also achieved several key milestones. I've mentioned the Eswatini National Payment Switch, which is now live on Eswatini's payment switch platform, allowing our clients to send money instantly to other local banks, eliminating traditional clearing times. The CMA EFT migration as well, successfully completed, and transitioning clients from paying to CMA countries via EFT to the SWIFT channel, now accessible via Forex on the FNB app. When talking about private banking transformation, we launched our evolved private banking offering, enhancing service experience for our private clients to meet global standards. And then in terms of commitment to exceptional customer service, we have also strengthened our commitment to exceptional customer service across the bank, offering fully integrated financial advice to further enhance our customers' financial resilience. And on the driving of economic growth, we reinforced our role in supporting economic growth, particularly in the agricultural sector. Our CIB team signed the first green loan for a solar power generation plant, the first of many such initiatives we plan to finance. If we go to the next slide. So FY 2025 saw us placing employee experience in the forefront, honoring our commitment to investing in our people's well-being and fostering meaningful connections for success. During the year, we achieved several milestones. We successfully onboarded the role of Chief Marketing Officer and Chief People Officer into ExCo level. We filled critical roles across the business, particularly within the retail and commercial segments, as well as key support areas such as human capital and IT, strengthening business partnering and enabling greater value extraction through insights. And lastly, we've conducted CEO roadshows since I started, where I was formally introduced to the entire staff, complement, and employees who were engaged on the bank's strategy and key objectives. The next slide. Now, our strategy and commitment to strengthening the employee experience truly shone through, as we are proud to be awarded the Top Employer Global Certification by the Top Employer Institute. Now, this recognizes FNB Eswatini as a top employer in both Eswatini and across the region, according to the different criteria that they use for companies when certifying for them. So this is a first for us, and we are very appreciative and proud of that. Going to the next slide as I wrap up this part of my presentation, it's very important that we highlight that at FNB Eswatini, we believe in giving back to the communities we serve, supporting initiatives and driving social impact, empowering people, and creating lasting positive change. During the period under review, we invested 3.8 million in CSI and strategic sponsorships across priority sectors, such as economic growth and entrepreneurship, right through to cultural promotion. In a joint effort with the FNB Foundation, FNB Eswatini sponsored the Entrepreneur of the Year Awards 2024 with a contribution of 1.6 million. 1 million contributed by FNB Eswatini and 600,000 contributed by the foundation. And through the foundation, 1.6 million was dispersed to impactful projects across the Kingdom of Eswatini, aligning with our 4 key pillars, being knowledge economy, gender diversity and inclusion, environment and climate change, and lastly, humanitarian support. With that, I'll hand over to our CFO, Njabulo, to take us through and unpack the numbers. Thank you.
Hello. All right. In terms of the presentation, I'll just ask when you to move to the next slide. Good morning, colleagues. Morning. And I'm being interrupted here. Okay. They're just confirming that they'll move the slides for me. And then to everyone online, stakeholders, shareholders, our board, and our fellow colleagues in the business. I'll take us through the financial results for the year 2025. They have been audited by PwC and approved by the relevant regulators from the Stock Exchange and the Central Bank. Next slide, please. So I think before we unpack the results, I think it is pertinent to go through just the history, and I think the CEO has highlighted the legacy of firsts, and I think it's exemplified here in our profit before tax for the past 30 years. So if we note down at the bottom, when FNB first started 1995, the first profit it posted was around 890,000. It has now reached 268 million after 30 years, and that translates to a compounded annual growth of around 21%. So I think it demonstrates that this business has been delivering value. It is sustainable, and it is a business that is resilient and that can bounce back from shocks. I think we have noted that over the past few years, global volatility has increased, whether it's been through COVID or the regional wars and change in policy positions of various nations. But I think what FNB has demonstrated is that where there are shocks and where it has dipped down, it has rebounded and come back stronger. And I think that sort of paints the picture going forward around the resilience of the business and the future growth prospects. Next slide, please. So coming to the current financial year, we have then the key financial metrics that we use to rate performance. And I think what we'd like to highlight as a key message is that we are looking to future-proof the business. We are looking to invest now for the future. And I think as the CEO has stated, we are seeing disruption internally, whether through new entrants in the market, developments in the payments platforms. The business needs to be agile to respond. But we also need to be able to have the capacity to provide contextual solutions to our customers. So I think that has been the message that has come through. Profit has remained flat year on year, but we have seen good balance sheet growth. So our total assets have increased to 10.3 billion from last year, so 6% growth, but that has been supported by growth in advances, growth in deposits. So that's what we would like to emphasize, that the business is still growing. We are investing in the short term for the long term. That has come with the impact on cost to income. So our cost to income ratio has been impacted by that investment in the short term. But in terms of our advances growth, we are still growing, lending diligently, and so our credit origination is still strong. So even though it has risen, it's still within industry metrics and below our internal thresholds. Our return on assets and return on equity has declined slightly, but it's still within our targeted ranges. We can move to the next slide. Then I'll just give a brief snapshot of our net profit and our income statement. So I think there's just to emphasize year on year, we have stayed flat from a net profit perspective, but from a total income perspective, we have grown by 9%. And then from a cost perspective, we have grown by 18%. I will unpack that in some slides that to come later. Can we move on? So I think then just to break down the aspects of the income statement, we'll start with interest income. So this is interest that we earn from our advances, so our loan book predominantly, and then also from excess liquidity that we place in government instruments, such as government bonds, T-bills. And what we have seen is that we're able to grow our net interest income quite well this past year, and it's been driven by increased overdraft utilization. So in terms of our corporate customers, we have been providing overdraft facilities that enable them to access working capital. But I think as well from an SME perspective, we have highlighted that we do want to lend to SMEs. We do want to support the economy, agriculture, and the key sectors in the economy. And over the past 2 years, we have lent 250 million to SMEs. So we are trying to provide solutions that stimulate growth. And then also from an individual perspective, our West Bank team has been working hard to optimize their processes to make it easier to buy a home, to buy a car. And we've seen that come through in our lending book, and that's also translated into increased interest income from advances. We've also been able to place as well more of our excess liquidity in our government instruments, so to as well place local liquidity in the market, and that's also increased our yields from investment security and cash equivalents. From an interest expense perspective, we have our deposit holders who we have to reward with interest income. And over the past few years, we have been making a concerted effort to attract people to place money in fixed deposits and term deposit facilities so they can earn interest. So I think that we have seen come through. Our interest expense has also increased, but it has been a deliberate strategy for us to encourage saving, encourage financial inclusion. And then I think then to bring into from customer acquisition. So I think as TK had highlighted that we want to provide contextual solutions. We want to be able to cross-sell our products to our existing base so that customers have an integrated service option. We want to be able to be the one-stop shop for all your financial needs. And that has seen us grow our active customer base across the segments. Retail, 9%, so our individual customers. Commercial, which are our SMEs. And then also corporate as well. So we have been able to embed and continue to cross-sell across the business. And then also in terms of active customer growth, we have seen that grow as well over the past year. So steady, continue to grow. We are still expanding as a business, and we are still trying to reach customers where they are. And then I think that has also translated then into increased volume growth across our platform. So our non-interest revenue, which is then the revenue that we generate from our transactional accounts, our platforms. So this has also increased year on year at around 10% overall. But within that, we have seen an increase in our service fees. And I think that has been driven by continued adoption. We are driving people to get onto the app, access self-service options. You don't need to go into a branch to access any of your products. So that has also been demonstrated by the Forex on app to support the CMI migration of Forex onto app. We have then developed solutions to support that. Customer support at the CSC, our customer support center. We've also invested that heavily to deal with customer queries because we knew the migration of EFTs onto Forex platforms was confusing. The platform was maybe not the easiest to use, but we have then invested in those capabilities to educate customers, support customers, resolve queries, and we've seen those come down. So we have successfully onboarded customers onto the Forex app, and we've seen that grow tremendously. So from 4 million in terms of volumes in 2024 to 100 million in 2025. So it just shows that customers have readily adopted the platform and they're using it. Our e-wallet remains a key seller and a key point for us for financial inclusion, especially in terms of our Cash Plus offering. So where people cannot access a physical branch, we have our Cash Plus agents, and we have seen overall volumes of our Cash Plus network grow to above 1 billion in terms of values. So it just shows as well that FNB is reaching customers where they are. And then from an operating expense, all these developments and all these investments do come with an increase in cost, but what we are proud of is that we prioritize our people first. And we see that staff expenditure is at 43%, so we are investing in people. We have increased their headcount. We are also developing our people, so creating those capabilities and that expertise in-house so that we can provide these solutions, so we do not have to rely externally for any developments that we need to do on our platforms, in our branches. We are doing the work ourselves and ensuring that we invest in our people first, and also creating an employee value proposition so people love to work at FNB. So that has been the key driver in terms of staff expenditure. We've also invested in technology and development, so that's 10%, and it's going to be a continued drive. So over the next few years, we will be investing in our platforms, in our points of presence, just to improve customer experience. And then as well, we do have then relevant support costs just to keep the business going. Coupled with that, we are balancing this increased investment with cost-saving initiatives. And that has been driven by the need to optimize our own internal operations. As we develop new solutions, our existing operations, we need to ensure that they are optimized and supporting growth, that we are agile, and we phase out legacy systems. So with that as well, we have been cutting discretionary expenditure that is not value creating and non-essential expenditure as well. Internally as a team, the Exco has been making a deliberate effort to interrogate costs within the business. And that's not to cut out anything that is not linked to shared prosperity and also linked to sustainable growth going forward. And we've aligned in terms of our expenditure and costs to anything that will drive and create value. And then finally, I would like to just then present our balance sheet. We have crossed over to become a 10 billion company. So I think that is something that we can celebrate as we reach our 30-year milestone. And it's testament to a growth story within this country. We have a company that started at 900,000 in terms of profit, and we have a 10 billion company. So I think that's driven by 4.7. 4.7 billion in net advances, and then deposits as well at 6.6 billion. And that's just showing that we are continuing to grow. The business is well capitalized. At 1.4 billion, we have the capital to absorb the shocks and the volatility that may come going forward, but we also have the capital to invest and to continue to grow. And that will be the continued theme of the business to reach newer heights. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Njabulo. Let us Princess Bashayele Tandla. I can confirm, good see the cost-cutting measures. La Kruma and Njabulo, we did experience them. They were proper. Yeah. So thanks, TK, thanks, Njabulo. Just a few, takeouts from me. Ladies and gentlemen, excited about the intentional gender focus. Looking forward to the time where we won't even see the need to brag about it, because it would have been an institutional thing. But excited about that. Clearly, Njabulo and TK, tough macros, but the business has remained resilient, so excited about that. Also just seeing the changing competitive landscape, I think the consumer gets to benefit at the end of the day, and we're excited, we're looking forward to that as a business. And I think, Peggy, last year I remember you were passionate about the fraud risk issues. Exciting to see the recap from TK, just the focus around trying to solve that for Eswatini. The struggle continues. Also excited about the innovation focus. Clearly the number of firsts. That says a lot about the bank's innovation focus. In any case, I take it you are known for that as a business. The people focus as well. Also exciting to see that coming through. And yeah, but in summary from what I picked, Njabulo and TK, tough operating environment, but the business still manages to deliver a strong set of results. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are preparing to take questions. TK, want to say something? Okay. Just a moment.
Okay, am I on? Okay, cool. All right, so before we wrap up, ladies and gentlemen, I think let me just conclude with looking ahead. I think the first part of it, if you go to the next slide, so we've entered this new financial year, and we enter with the aim to succeed. I think as per what Mnetsi was mentioning now, we're aiming to succeed in a highly competitive and well-regulated environment. Our strategy is anchored on 6 key pillars. And I think it's important that we understand that, because this becomes our guide even as we move into this financial year. 1, customer experience. We've got employee experience. Employee experience is very important to us. We just mentioned now the certification that we've recently received, and we'll continue to make sure that, 1, from a certification perspective, we continue to focus on those areas that allow you to be certified, but we also make sure that we consider and provide input into some of the areas that are touched on by our colleagues as we do the roadshows and all that, and make sure that if it is creating value from an EVP perspective, we incorporate it. So employee experience, very important. More customers and more to customers is also as important. And then more efficiently, and finally, that last pillar, but not the least, is shared prosperity. So therefore, these pillars are FNB Eswatini's true north. So we are committed to consistently creating solutions that are both relevant and impactful to our clients' needs. At the same time, we recognize that none of this is possible without a strong and empowered employee base. which remains the foundation of everything that we do. So our focus, as I've mentioned now, will be on enhancing our EVP. At FNB Eswatini, we do recognize that by focusing on perfecting those first two, we inherently create momentum that will drive success across the other pillars, which are 3, 4, and 5, anchored by 6 at the bottom. Consistency is key, and that's the message that we play whenever we're meeting with all the teams. So throughout the year, we will remain steadfast in applying these principles and keeping our strategy aligned to our true north. And lastly, our pillar 6, which is shared prosperity. And you know, I've been talking about it from the beginning. I hope we've started thinking, what is this shared prosperity that this guy keeps talking about? But FNB Eswatini has embedded shared prosperity as one of its key objectives. In terms of shared prosperity, for us, it is the belief that we have an obligation to more effectively leverage our core business activities to add value to society, profitably and at scale. Now, sithi sitindile Eswatini, it's not simply because it's a nice thing to say, but we are being intentional about allocating our capital to the economy to contribute to the country's long-term growth. We intend to do this through 4 focus areas. So 1, financial inclusion, 2, financial well-being, 3, climate change, and lastly, economic transformation. Therefore, by removing barriers that limit individuals and businesses from accessing financial solutions, leading the change towards enabling financial independence, as well as investing in initiatives that strengthen the resilience of our broader stakeholders against extreme weather events, while also creating opportunities for people across the communities we serve to live productive, prosperous, and dignified lives. We believe this is not only essential for growing our bottom line, but also for contributing to the long-term sustainable growth of Eswatini's economy. If you go to the next slide, we see our beautiful acacia tree there, which is part of our FNB logo from way back. So this acacia has long held significance in African mythology and art. Its ability to withstand the harshest savanna environments speaks to resilience and perseverance. Its wood, prized for durability and strength, reminds us of the importance of building a foundation that endures. With this in mind, our vision is clear. We will defend our market share by investing in strong, future-fit platform enterprise. I think Njabulo highlighted there that we are spending a lot of money in making sure that we modernize our platforms. We'll also grow into new territories through carefully considered business case-led expansion. That's part of our focus areas. And we'll ensure that our talent remains a pinnacle of excellence by hiring the best Eswatini has to offer, investing in their growth, and retaining them through a comprehensive employee value proposition. Much like the acacia, we stand resilient, strong, and positioned to thrive in all seasons. With optimism as our compass and determination as our foundation, we are confident in our path forward, delivering sustained value for our people, our customers, and the economy of Eswatini. Thank you very much.
Okay, can we get ready for questions? Happy to take a few questions, colleagues. The mic will be roving. Okay, questions. Before we do a Bulala system, I think.
Good morning. My name is Nhlangan Somkonda from the Times of Eswatini. One jumbuto kungaba ku Mr. Njabulo ukhulume kula results akho you shared ukuthi credit and payment itekwenyuka kancane from 0.2 to 0.6%. Mhlambe if you can enlighten us there ukuthi ngabe what led to that, because ngibutisa ukuthi for the past few months i-Central Bank announce kwehla kwabo interest rate yebo kulokunye beyihlala imenza wonke ukuthi ngabe umthelela wayo nje leyo kwale interest rate ibe kuphi. Thank you.
Okay. So in the past, I'll take from COVID. So during COVID and linked to the civil unrest that occurred in 2021, FNB had to build up significant provisions because there was quite relative uncertainty. And in that period, we built up significant reserves, which we have been releasing. So as the political instability has subsided, and as global pressures as well have reduced, so in terms of, like you've discussed, inflation and GDP growth has rebounded, we've been able to release those reserves. And what happened was that our credit impairment losses were actually quite low for the past few years. So even the past financial year 2024, they were at 0.2%, which is very low compared to the market. But if you take out the release of those historical provisions, our credit impairment ratio was at around 0.6%. So if we take that normalized view in 2024 and 2025, it has actually remained quite stable. So I think to your point, we have seen credit impairment losses reduce over the period in the industry, and FNB we've seen ours remain quite stable as well.
Thanks, Njabulo. So basically, it's a function of normalization. Okay. Thank you so much. I think there is a question, Shobane.
How nasan ang buwan no? No, angiqale kanjena ke CEO lenzawa. I saw your slide lapha talking about FNB being the first to take money to our pockets. Sikubonge lokho. It's just that I was reminded of a story sale ekhaya kwakunagogo andwabobaba wami who always complained ukuthi umuntu lonemali ekhikhini akanamali, imali kufanele ihlale ebhange. I wondered ukuthi if she was alive today, abetawutsini kuwe usitshela wena ukuthi imali ihlale ekhikhini, abekusho abetawuvela afe ngoba shitsha. In fact, how it came out was abethetha nangabe umfuku ucela imali embiko wakhe wayikhipha la ekhikhini. Athi wendani nemali ekhikhini TK, imali ihlala ebhange. Ngeke ube nemali ekhikhini ngoba imali bese uyipha abantu. To think that now as I'm sitting here ngabhadala umvakala Vumisa is quite remarkable. So there's asikubonge lo. But labantu abadzala bebangeke bayive lento there. So things happen in good time in their era. But that said, you know, we, as ordinary people, one of the things that are problematic for us ordinary people, because we are ordinary people, we might just be working in the media, but we are ordinary people. We go to these sessions, Lenba now, and you guys talk big numbers. Good numbers. But we have to sishayegile as ordinary people. For some reason, why is this money not filtering to us ordinary people? Instead, lama presentations leswavago, we keep hearing about, while not a bad thing, we keep hearing about the improvement in access to loans. Which means, Gutsi, for me, and this is where I'd like you to address me, are the financial systems lagangwane, including Nani, not creating an environment where we are in an endless cycle of debt? But it's not such a lot of but kahle skwenet. So that when are we creating wealth as as people? We're always, I know, for instance, that and I'm glad FNB never brought it to this country, where they will give you endless credit. So that ube credit, let's say, now uhola ekupheleni kwenyanga, wonke lo mholo wakho will try and pay off le mali oyikwenetayo, just to create more credit at a high level, so that your lifestyle is maybe 2 or 3 times higher than what you earn. Tikwenetako utbhatala ngale overdraft loyinikwa FNB. When all you have to do is make sure ukuthi uphabona lo mholo wakho so that you are an. It seems that's where we are going, because we are busy being told about the beauty of improved credit as a people, which means we are in an endless cycle. Now, if you think about it, it goes to a problem we are faced with now, YMSIN for PSPF, ENPF. For instance, FNB nje ansi nyalo senenda kusinesboleka imali siyowakhethwa. It looks nice. But what is the security on that? I'm made to understand it's pensions. I don't know, but illegal pension as security. But it's a gray area for me. I've never really asked hard about it. But essentially what it does is we keep going into an endless cycle of debt. And obviously debt is good for business, for you. But we live fake lives. And then we die. One of the most fascinating things, let's see, actualistic presentations of President Fund. Nam kuba we matwotse maswati ekutsuthi ungabusina 60 bese uthatha umfana lona 25. Hey, bekunene sente njani? Ngoba batalwa every day. But the thing is, this is defeating the money flows. And the biggest threat to this pension thing actually right now, noma ngakhuluma tsini Russell, kutsi sibhizi sithatha inswane sesigugile. And ngeke sitshelwe ngumuntu ukuthi singathathi inswane. So this cycle of debt is vicious. But I won't care when I'm dead. Really, I don't. How does this work? Asenis address ngane into nayile siphilako la kangwane. Sishiyati kweneti kuthula umoya. I don't know if I'm making sense in terms of what I'm asking, CEO.
Okay, let me answer the best I can.
Futsuna dokotela, newly minted.
Yeah.
Nebagit.
But let me just touch on, I think from what you were saying, Bamako, the main points is I'm going to split it, one from a business and then from an individual perspective. For a business, businesses also need loans. One, they need them to make sure that, because sometimes the cash flow is not really ideal to their needs. So they will need loans. And as a bank, what we need to do is make sure that we understand those businesses, and we have to make sure that we are scoring them properly so that we are giving the loans to the correct businesses. But additionally to that, it's important that we also continue to make sure that we are raising awareness even to those businesses. Especially now, we are focusing on SMEs, as we've mentioned, and part of that, I'll make an example, is small-scale agricultural farmers. Same thing, they also need loans. We can't just only make sure that we score them properly and we provide the loans, but we also have to make sure that we provide the tools for them to be financially aware. How do you run a business responsibly? How do you handle a loan? How do you balance suppliers? All of these different components are important. That is important. So the balance of making sure that you provide the resources that are needed, one, talking about credit, and making sure that you provide or increase whatever these people have an understanding of in terms of financial awareness is very important. But that also goes to individuals. There are people who are able to manage their finances well. We can't paint everyone with the same brush. But it's important that as a business, what we do, and I've mentioned it there, is make sure that we introduce programs that will increase financial awareness to Eswatini. I think if you do that, then people better understand why, one, you make sure you actually can at some point, but it's important that we in digital. Yes, the phone is here and you're able to maybe tap or go and swipe and all that. There's no difference, but it's important that you have financial awareness. You don't need to be wasting all your money that you get on payday, but it's financial awareness. And how do you make sure that you invest, save, and make sure that you are cognizant of whatever financial decisions you are doing? That's all financial awareness. So that's one of our focus areas. So yes, it is a correct point that some other people, because of whether it's lack of financial awareness, others most probably would be financially aware, but they choose. But as a bank, we have to make sure that we increase that awareness. And we also make sure that we are lending to the correct people through our scorecards, which basically saves, because we've seen the behavior of another person, then you won't then continuously provide loans to those people. I hope that addresses it high level. But for me, the important thing is to raise awareness to Eswatini in terms of financial awareness. That will also assist in looking at that other point that I mentioned on shared prosperity, on making sure that we uplift financial inclusion. If people are aware, how does this financial world work, then they'll be able to conduct themselves responsibly in that manner. Other points that you raised, I can't answer.
Yeah, thanks, TK. And Peggy, thank you so much for raising that question. And I think that's exactly the point that keeps us awake at night. Because we don't get to benefit if Eswatini are in serious financial constraint. Because it basically means you don't have customers. So we have a lot to lose if we perpetuate a culture like that. And I also agree with TK to say it's also a function of balance. You get excited when you go to Nhlangano because you've done something and you get approached by a lady who works FMN and says, thanks FNB, I've managed to build a home because you've done A, B, C, and D. That excites you, and the adverse of it is what you've just explained. Then I guess the question is, how do you find the right balance and help the adverse side of things? So thanks for raising. I think it's a valid point. I see there is also Bingo. Mike is on, right?
I think so.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Maybe
sorry,
before,
Bingo, I think TK wants to add.
So maybe before that, the matter of pension fund on, can you touch on that, please?
Thank you, CE, and thank you, Baba Makubu, for the question. In terms of Emma Umkaya, maybe let me stand. In terms of Lobo Umkaya, the loans that we provide, they are unsecured. So we do not take the pension from our customers. Up to 500,000, that loan is unsecured from FNB Eswatini.
How do we mitigate?
So in terms of how we look at it, is that this loan is secured. We call it emotional security because you've gotten the funds to build yourself a home. So, and when we look at the history, it is actually one of the better performing products for us. I assume because of the value that the borrowers attach to having a home. But from an Eswatini, from an FNB perspective, these are unsecured. We don't take the home, nor do we take the pension as security.
Yeah, I think Thandeka has covered that well. And it's a risk that we had to take to the groups amazement. And I think it's a calculated risk that clearly has some positive impact.
Thank
yes,
you.
please,
Okay.
Bingo.
Thank you, Doc. I mean, you must get used to it. CEO, thank you very much for the. I think I was a long list of things I wanted to raise, and the first one I want to try and articulate very clearly is to extend our congratulations to you, Dr. Dlamini, and congratulations to not yet Dr. but Sibusile, the head of CMO, executive. So congratulations to you, CEO. And thank you for giving us someone that is also known to us for continuity. These people that you put in these positions are very critical to us. Yebogonan is consult, but they are very critical to us. Because that's where we cry, that's where we look for solutions. So I'm pleased that we've moved this direction and we can hope for an improvement also in our relations with the bank. The other part, CEO, that I wanted to just, if I'm allowed to say, I want to also just flag a bit. I saw in the slide your CSI, and I'm very happy with the millions you're spending there. Congratulations on that. I will come from a media perspective and say that to me it is also important to ask very nicely that this value that you are creating in the CSI rubs a bit on the media as well. Stayishira coffee ngalanyelanga but nje sekwendlulisa nje ukuthi leyo value leyo siyayibonga ukuthi is there for your social engagement. The main question I have, CEO, is regarding, I think it's linked to what Shobane has raised, but I come from a different angle. I see your financials are great. You are now a 10 billion Emalangeni company. This is money that has come to FNB. Very vigilant in it. Congratulations on it. I always try to now contextualize this growth. In a country such as ours, where there's so much poverty, unemployment, and you can see, I think we are contracting, but it's down. My economists here, and I'm happy that I can see people from the central bank. Labangu regulate. Mgoguti, yini ngazuthi le mali ikhona la khaya. Nangbuka bo e-wallet, nangbuka lama numbers of people actually spending. Nisho kuthini nini, nisho ukuthi ikhona yini. Nangabe ikhona, yaw ngibabe wami. Idliwa angingasho ukuthi idliwa ngibani. Angithi ishona phi le mali CEO ngoba you can tell from your slides there ukuthi people are actually pocketed nicely. Bo e-wallet bahlale bandinda nje. And then when we speak of unemployment numbers, very high. Shobane has touched on the bit yegokuthi shokuthi siphila ngetikweleti lesithethela bhange. Shokuthi libhange lisibangela letikweleti yini, which is food for thought for a central bank. Ngoba libhange liyakunika mina ngifake e-wallet ngifakele angithi ngifakela lwazi ngoba sibangani nalwazi I can mention him. I don't know, but so my train of thought is CEO, if we are not creating jobs, if our unemployment is so high, if the economy is not growing the way exponentially, to use your words, how is FNB making this money? What do you in FNB in terms of CEO, ngicela ukugcina nangala two just short ones. I didn't see slides say update on your shareholding. Now 30% lena siphaye na simaswati bengifuna nje kubuka ukuthi ngabe kuhamba njani lapho. Maybe there would have been a follow-up question there ngoba khona bengikugatsile. But nginako kunibongela kulo 30 years ngoba na ubuka la kuleli tafula leli kusho ukuthi FNB uqale sesivele esikhona. Move into this space while we were looking and being part of it as professionals, I would say, in media. Bangane laba labasijoyine emva la kule industry. My question therefore is, see, ngabe likhona nilitiya la 30 years. Hey, ngabe litawufika nini lelitiya la 30 years. Hawune bakithi emaswati ajabulile. So upheka nini TK? We are
Can we allow TK to take, because I think it was a few questions there. Yeah.
Okay. Asengicela la kugcineni. Maybe Njabulo, you can maybe elaborate if ngingasho kahle. So in terms of shareholding, you'll be aware ukuthi yalistwa, and from that time, First Rand then became an owner ya 75.01%. And then we've got the 20% of institutional investors. That has remained as is. And then the 4.99% is the employee trust. Okay, so that hasn't changed, Sut. That remains the same. Okay. And then when it comes to, maybe let's put it a different, Boba and Lama customer, maybe let's start from a retail perspective. Boba and Lama customer. Maybe if so some of the things we would, I don't think would be able to answer with ishobela plemali from the clients. I think maybe just high level. Could say who are your clients from a retail perspective?
Yeah, so I think if you just look at retail alone, we are talking close to 220,000 customers, FNB customers. So you can say that's the banked, perhaps population, bingo. Then, which means, just from a retail point of view, that's the base that is perhaps contributing to what we are seeing. Of course, there is also corporate and commercial, which are also big contributors to the numbers. So then I think the fundamental question, which is perhaps even broader than just FNB, is then the balance, the unbanked. Because those are the people that are not participating in whatever shape or form that you see. And I think that's where we have to perhaps, and I think it goes beyond this forum, to say, how do we intentionally uplift and include the balance that is not part of the 200 and something. And I think that's where the big question lies, Bingo, to say you still have a large population, Yamaswati, that is currently unbanked. And what does that mean and how do you address it? I think that's the conversation that we need to have.
Yeah. So to maybe just to conclude on that as well. So I think highlighted on there from a corporate and investment perspective, we've got big companies that we bank. Bonada making sure that they're using that money to run their companies and pay salaries to employees. That's what big companies do. Then you've got your commercial clients. Commercial, whether it's the bigger businesses or smaller SMEs, same thing, they're running the businesses, whether big or smaller companies, but they are running their businesses and making sure that they are paying their staff, they are paying their suppliers, they are maintaining their businesses. Okay, so that's from a business perspective. Okay, so corporate, business up to SME, and you've also got strong entrepreneurs coming up as well. And we are saying that as much as we are saying that, yes, youth unemployment, but there are people who are working hard to make sure that they keep their businesses afloat. Those are the people who are paying salaries, paying suppliers, and all that. Then from a retail perspective, Mnetsi mentioned. When I spoke about shared prosperity, I did highlight that one of the key areas that we want to look at is financial inclusion. And one of the points that you are mentioning is you are saying, what about those other people who are not working and all this stuff? And for me, Sbusile, I think that's a good maybe topic that we can cover at the next engagement session that we have with the media, to say, okay, listen, if we pull reports, Alakaya, this is what's happening from a financial inclusion perspective. You want to look at the flows from a country perspective and all that. So it's a nice topic that most probably would be able to look at as per what the Honorable Doctor is saying. So we will look at that, Sutu. It's a good topic to look at. Okay, thank you.
I think Sarah Eltia. Does that say avoid a ping?
When So I think from the time we had our birthday, we have been having initiatives that we are busy with in making sure that we recognize our clients. And funny enough, at the trade fair, I had a certain policeman who came and said, I see you're celebrating 30 years. We are to see ngangne account from the time you guys took over from Meridian, Lape PCCI. So it's a good point. And the weird thing about it is that even if to say what I was part of those clients. So it is something that we will look at. It was something that we were considering, whether to term it or just something to appreciate our clients, because we do appreciate our clients, especially those who've been with us this whole journey. And you are also one of those. So yes, whatever we decide, you will definitely know. But it's a good point. Thank you.
It will make up for phase 2.
It will make up for phase 2. Okay. All right. Thanks, Mama.
We'll take two more colleagues, then we will probably close it. Please go ahead.
Siyabonga kakhulu Dr. na CEO. Ngakugwebo sibongo ngisuke emsakatweni. Sibona ukuthi lapha nipresente into lenhle esibili. Manje nje ukukhala enginekusele mina ngithi sengibuthisise kahle ukuthi kule ndzaba ngisho ukuthi niyafundzisa abantu nge-financial awareness. Sengidibuta ukuthi angabona kuma slides mhlawumbe ukuthi kungenye kude lokuthi non performing loans FNB shokuthi kude la khona ngabe akhona anganani labantu mhlawumbe kwanza ukuthi sebadliwe ukuthi abakhona ukubhadala bona. Ngibutisa ngokuthi mina ngihlala esidokodo kunemaloli lapha siyanciphe kakhulu. Ngizengiphethe umnyaka lapho bathi emabhanga asiphethe ngensila but aniveti lapha lokuthi nibadlile ndle bangaphi abaperformable manje kubadle lokuthi awukuhle sina 10 billion siclava ukuthi yebo kona ngalapha sebanigane bombingo kuhle mina ngisenganigandi ngalapha kuhamba njani khona kula non performing loans khona kuphela kahle lesithombe sakusebenza kwalibhanga manje senganhlanye lesithombe yabo.
All right, can you take the second one? Stawa. There's another one there. Oh, okay. I'll take both of you. It's okay. Please shoot.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Njabulo from Inside Biz. Congratulations, CEO, on reaching low 10 billion in assets. My question is on the, maybe I should say, there's a perception regarding FNB when it comes to SME financing. It's a well-known one. It's FNB agafuni nemali to finance SMEs. It's a perception out there. But I saw low 250 million. So I'm just trying to find out, can you reassure SMEs that you are open to finance? Maybe skip a perception, because maybe it's just a perception that's unfounded. So that's my question.
Thank you, Ndogozo. Okay. We'll take the final one.
Siyabonga kakhulu CEO. I've got two questions. The first question is that I know CEO, which you are part of the Bankers Association. ngifuna kuva nje ukuthi emabhange ngosami sekumephi ngendzaba ye-payment switch because i-Central Bank beyisethembisile ukuthi sooner umuntu ose-Standard Bank utathi nakabhadala umuntu ose-FNB ayithole ngaso sikhathi le mali. I would just want to find out about that. And the second question is the issue of the numbers lenwa vetako tinhlet nombolo tiyakhula, and even if we can go to any bank don't rate nombolo tiyakhula. And the Minister of Finance has said the GDP of the country is also growing. But then everyone in the country is not seeing that. So my question is that how can you explain that to me? Could see everything is going well in this country, but the employment rate is still very, very high. I don't know how you can help me understand that. FNB is giving out money, everyone is giving out money, Nedbank is giving out money, but that thing still not translate to the employment in the country. The employment is still very high. The unemployment is still very, very much high. Thank you so much.
Okay, just to help with the response, I think there is a question around NPLs. What's the state of our NPLs? I think Tandega will handle that. Stosha is a TK more. Also, please also handle the SME financing perception. Then TK, you'll decide who to negate a national payment switch update. Okay. Then, yeah, maybe you can go to.
NPLs. I think our NPLs, and Njabulo, you'll keep me honest. And my NPLs at the end of the financial year were 2.56% of the overall book, which for us remained well within our threshold. Our threshold is 5%, so they were well within. But that being said, ukona vele lo 2.5% bamfulabo dindlu dimoto leto ma personal loans lapo. So we do still have people that will default for different reasons. But our approach as FNB has always been good. Nanga beshotsi umumvu angasakhona ukubhatala. Sinayo indlebe yokumlalela. Nanga beshotsi afuna ukukhulumisana nathi. By the time we get to take your car and then maybe repossess your house, la process ifika ngoba vele tinkhulumo noma litafula sekuphelile. We have tried everything. So that is what will form the 2.56%. So in reality, we still do have people that do default, but they are not at the level that, that is alarming at this point. But that is a reality of credit. You will have people that will pay, and you will have people that will not pay. And some not pay, not because they don't have money. There are other circumstances that are influencing that, but it is the nature of the game. Angat no bang yak painful. Angat is because those could be financed by anyone, but I think maybe just to comment broadly, without necessarily focusing on Eswatini. We have seen strain vele truck, because I think a lot of people did invest in trucks because of coal and an end. I think there was over-investment at the beginning in anticipation for what was happening in the coal space from an industry perspective, and with the changes that have been happening, and for especially those ones that have not been able to repurpose lama truck abo to other logistical aspects, we have seen that strain. But I think from an FNB perspective, because our base was not that big, we are seeing defaulters, but it's not that significant in our book because we didn't have a lot in the base anyway.
So, go West Bank, you have less trucks versus your normal vehicles. No, West Bank, it's the normal vehicles than the trucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that is really because we engaged with you before. Now to funak tenga no my truck. Siyabuta ukuthi lama contract akosibuke lokuthi lo 10 trucks relative to the business we have is it a reasonable investment? Aren't you overstretching yourself? So we are intentional in having the conversations before sikuthengele the truck. So ungeta uthi utocela 10, but sisitsine ngale lesikubona ko stokuniketa 2. So that is the conversation that we have with our customers.
Which now takes us to the SME perception question.
I think the SME one, stakeholders and partners is really a perception from an FNB perspective, because I do acknowledge that we have come a long way in terms of our appetite and all of those conversations. But in the recent, I'll probably say 2-3 years, we have really evolved in terms of our SME lending. We're actually doing scored lending now, where the SME doesn't even have to bring in any financials or anything to get lending from us. We actually just look at the profile in your account based on your performance, and in end, the scoring does give you an amount. Overdraft malini, loan malini. And we have actually recently even increased our limit. I think before we were scoring up to 500,000, we've recently increased it to 1.5 million. So that is where the 215 that we are seeing from an SME perspective is purely, is largely the scored base, where financials, we just look at how you are conducting your account, and based on those records and the turnover that we are seeing on your side, we are able to grant you credit. As SME, so that really drives. But from an appetite perspective, we have opened it and made it very easy for SMEs to borrow from us.
I think there was payment switch update. I think TK will handle that one.
Yep, I'll handle that. So from a national payment switch perspective, I think FNB Eswatini is very proud to be part of the journey, FNB switch. It's part of the broader payments modernization journey. That journey is split into currently 3 phases. The first one is for fast payments, okay? The second one covers open banking, and then the last one looks at ATM and point of sale devices, or speed points. So from the first part, which is what we are in currently, that one as well is split into 3 parts, okay? I'm trying to align to that point. The central bank, it's a push up, but there's like a delay. We must understand that e-payments infrastructure is a very delicate matter. If you do it wrong, that's the one thing. If you look at the amount of transactions that are flowing through every second, every minute, you do that wrong, you have to make sure that whatever is flowing through, you are able to recon. You are able to make sure that that money is going to whoever is being paid and all of that. So if you rush something, sometimes you will trip over. When we look at where we are from a national payment switch perspective, phase 1, which is fast payments, we are already in the account-to-account part. We got certified in June. So we are there live with a few other banks. Then you've got account to wallet, which means now anyone with a bank account must be able to pay any digital wallet la Eswatini, okay? That as well requires that we make sure that we are careful in terms of how we implement it. Nazi, we're in the process of making sure that we implement that solution. And then the last one is now any wallet to any wallet, okay? Whether a FNB's e-wallet, paying Unayo and all that. That as well is not an easy task. But for me, what I've seen is that with the discussions we're having with the colleagues and all other players or stakeholders in the financial payment sector, all of them are focused on making sure that they deliver. It's just that maybe we want to see everything happening. It's just that it has to be done properly. These are systems that we're putting down. We have to make sure that all the checks and balances are in place, but it will happen. Thank you.
Okay. Colleagues, okay, just one final.
Thank you so much. My name is Sondom Langeni from Eswatini TV. So mine I had interesting issue ye unemployment la even njengoba FNB libhange vele lesilibona ukuthi ngathi lenda kahle kakhulu naleti nombolo letetfulwa konamhla kuyabonakala ukuthi cha kuhamba kahle CE. Kungaba but my colleagues sekabutile but sekungaba I reputation but mine bengifuna kuva ukuthi given the rising cost of living la even la kangwane nale economic pressure wenda ini FNB kwekuthi azame ku drive the economic growth ukuthi le burden the financial burden yehle la kule sive seMaswati ngoba vele libhange nje ngoba lila kangwane usho ukuthi ke neMaswati kufanele kube khona la kususakho. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you. Dayithatha umlando sasiyamsitha.
Yeah, ndangisithe. Siyabonga mlangeni. I think we have covered this. I think another part you are talking about is focused mainly on shared prosperity, where as a bank, as FNB, we do believe that using our resources, our capital resources, we have to make sure that we have or provide a contribution in terms of Njabulo Dlamini, which most probably would cover unemployment and all that stuff. But there's certain ways of doing that. It's not just throwing money and all that, because that is unsustainable, okay? So we've mentioned earlier on about the initiatives that we'll be putting in play to make sure that we do that. Part of that is obviously financial awareness, okay? Part of that is the intentional process of making sure that we provide resources to entrepreneurs, okay? Whether intentionally we will say women, entrepreneurs or youth and all that. Those are areas that FNB Eswatini is looking at. And through that shared prosperity lens, it's addressing exactly that. To say FNB Eswatini is not just sitting down and not understanding what environment they're operating in. But we have to make sure that whatever initiatives that we start are sustainable. That's the process that we're in. That I hope that covers it. So I have touched on that during the presentations. And then on the other points that were being raised here, I'll repeat it again. It's very important that we up whatever we're doing in terms of making sure that nationally we're raising financial awareness. It's very important that we do that. But supporting e-youth and making sure that we address this issue of unemployment and all that will be through those initiatives that we're doing. We're working with, through SEDCO, Entrepreneur of the Year Awards. I'm sure you're aware of that. Nalapo, it's making sure we are focusing on these small businesses. We've actually rolled it out in the last financial year to regions to make sure even in the regions, they're able to compete and we provide prizes for that. I think that as well is making sure even in the regions to say, hey, I'm also being recognized as a small business. And that as well increases or grows those businesses. If they do that, they're able to then provide employment to the youth or other people within the different communities. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, TK. Maybe just to touch on Lele relief, just to, because Lagna Lokshisa Kulkon, I think it's on the retail side, the individual customers. Just to give you an example, as a demonstration, we are sensitive to the realities of our environment. And I think the central bank also plays an active role to hold us accountable. So if you just look at the retail revenue that we make from transactional fees, historically we've been growing between about 10-13% year on year. But last financial year we only grew by 5%. And one of the contributors for that is we had to sacrifice a lot to give back to the customer, particularly the entry customers. We had to do away with some penalty fees. It's now swiper. We entry customer, it's beguk charge before. So we had to do away with that because could decline. That's just one example. We also had to do away with debit order setup fees. We had to do away with other penalty fees that were there. And as a result, the bank did take a knock, but it's a good knock because we're trying to, to give back to the customer, because we do realize, the struggles are really there. Student accounts, we've had to slash fees, I think monthly fees there. We have a Scalo account where we don't charge monthly fees at all. And that account is purely designed for Lama customer, Lawa, that are really, really struggling, more than we are perhaps struggling here. So this is just to demonstrate in our own small way, these are some of the things that we've had to try and do to meet our customers halfway, considering the challenges that we've highlighted. Bingo,
So maybe one last point as well, maybe Kaza as well, what is Sendane with the Cash Plus?
Yeah.
Cash Plus agents, okay.
Yes, so there is also Cash Plus agency. In its current form, it's mainly focused on facilitating deposit and withdrawal, mainly withdrawal. But we are saying we want Cash Plus to do more than just that. It must be more of an agency bank where you can do more than just that. And we believe that will help with access, but also help with the cost issue, because Cash Plus as a channel is less expensive than a branch. So those are some of the things that we are trying to do to just help and play our part in our own small way. Bingo is requesting Guivala, Sengomvumele njenga president, Wabo Shoba. Ivale Bingo, stose siyakuthande.
Thank you, Doc. Rings good. CEO, it's just a small comment that I would like to make, because I think we have to pay attention to it as well as see media. It's just to angathunywa ngumuntu, but it's what we see also on the outside, and it's there in your slides. Just a point, CEO, thank you on behalf of our brothers and sisters that you have got there in your employ. I think one of the things we can do, or that can be understated, is how much important it is that you employ people and you give them a very rewarding experience of being an employee at FNB. Because to employ one person also is to improve lenzaba yethu poverty. So to umzala kuceleni kwakho lohleli naye long people person, the task is of course to make these people continue to work and give people the experience yekubama enangzana aga FNB. So nakuloko siyak recognize that you employ a lot of Eswati, and I think they are well paid. I don't know, they haven't showed me their slips, but nangbabuka nje uyababona. Kodwa basemalini. Bese sengithi CEO, looking at that and to welcome incoming chair next month, obviously the bank has a responsibility to growing that sector. So angabese Njabulo ubike kukhatha kakhulu sekakhatha nalama numbers. Qashani Nkosi. Amen.
Thanks, Bingo. It was a comment, it wasn't a question. We'll take that. Tandega, please wrap it up. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.
Please give him a round of applause. I think this podium has been very lonely. I'm not sure why it was put up, but no one has used it since morning, so I'm going to be kind to it as we wrap up. Thank you to the media and our partners for the questions. Yeah, at some point I felt like I was being put on the spot, but now it is my turn to ask questions. I think when we started, Neti did highlight that we must listen attentively because we will be asking questions at the end. I don't know if my prices are ready. And if you know the answer, you will just put up your hand. It's going to be hopefully a fair first come, first serve basis. And then, yeah, we are going to then give you the price just before we wrap up. So during the presentation, the CE spoke about FNB Fest. I think you saw it was like a fancy slide. And then what did it say FNB first introduced in 2011? Class, 2011. 2011 was somewhere here. Actually, it was there. Who was the first? Okay, please give it to him. What is it? Oh, perfect. That's the correct one. Please give him his prize. Yeah, I think laba bahlala embile classini, they get things right. And then the second question, by what percentage? And I think Netzi must have mentioned this as well. By what percentage did FNB grow its customer base in 2024, 2025? This one is for the ones that were really, really listening and taking notes. By what percentage did FNB grow its customer base? Yes, thank you.
21%.
That would be great, but that's not quite it.
5%.
5%. It's not quite 5%. It's almost 5%, but not quite. So I think, what was the?
Oh, I think it's 7%.
Perfect, that's the one. My last question, and I think this one, because ibange umsinjwana nje, I expect all of us to get it right. How much did we give back to society as FNB in the past financial year? Who are you giving the mic? Okay.
Oh, it's me again.
You're gonna try again.
Percentage-wise or just the absolute
The number,
figures?
the absolute number.
Was it around 3.5 million?
That's slightly below.
3.8.
I think it was him. And then, yeah, if he doesn't get it right, we go to the
3.85.
No, it's not quite correct. We actually spent a bit more than that. Please.
It's
Yeah.
5.48 million.
Talk about paying attention to detail.
It's 3.8
Mina,
million.
No, it's 5.48 actually. It's 5.48. This is paying attention to detail. Ucishe wathi 0.0000. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for paying attention. I think this is actually a demonstration ukuthi besilalele. Labanye bayasinciphisela lama mark ethu, but nje we did try. It was actually at 5.5 million rounded up, but it was actually 5.48 million. So thank you so much. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our program today. And thank you so much to firstly to our CE and our CFO for the lovely presentation. Thank you to all of you for engaging with us. And most importantly, thank you for being part of this great event. Now we have prepared some refreshments for us. So please do feel free to enjoy breakfast with us. I am told there are 3 serving stations, so it's 3 stations with the same food. So there isn't like, you don't have to move from one table to the other.